Derrius Guice was once a beloved figure. Dude endured a tumultuous childhood and despite that, grew into a success. He overcame, triumphed, won, like he made it, bruh. But here recently, saw it come crashing down. And a guy who was once praised for playing the game angry is quickly finding out that off the field, that approach, unfortunately for Derrius, hadn't yielded the same results. This is what happened to Derrius Guice. Cue the Wayne.
You'll never know quitter, 'cause I'ma go get her.
Derrius Guice grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He always had great physical strength, and when he was only 5 years old, the story goes that he was able to lift his 28-year-old father, like pick him up, bro. So thanks to that and other showcases of strength, his dad would always tell him that he was the football man in the family. So we kind of get assigned roles early in life. And when your dad, who you love, respect, and kind of want to model yourself after, whether you know it or not, tell you something like that, like it go to heart. But with Derrius, it kind of just sat in the back of his mind, and that's where it would stay. Until May 3rd, 2003. That morning, Derrius stole some time with his dad before he went off to work. A 6-year-old Derrius told his dad that one day he would be the best running back to ever come out of the city. He would play for LSU and in the NFL and make so much money that he and his family would never see South Baton Rouge again. Unfortunately, these were the last words he'd ever speak to his father. His dad gets into a fight outside of Baton Rouge Denny's. It starts out with fists and Derrius' dad has the upper hand. Unfortunately, the other cat involved couldn't just hold his L. He pulls out a gun and shoots this man 17 times. Now, a 6-year-old Derrius Guice no longer has his father, and not only did he lose him, but the way he lost him, like, that's extremely traumatic, bro. Like, he talked about seeing his dad's body on the news and not really understanding what he was seeing. He went to the funeral and really wanted to get in the casket with his dad, man. And he says it really started to sink in over the next several weeks as he realized, like, yeah, he's really gone and he's not coming back. Derrius began questioning why things like this were allowed to happen, saying he wasn't big on spirituality of any kind. I just wish it wasn't like that. Half of the time, I don't feel like he listens. When you're kids, it's like your mom and dad watching you get killed. How could you just let your child die? Even with me. How do you let me go through all of this? How do you let me not have food or a place to stay? I'm your child. Derrius was losing faith fast. His confusion eventually morphed into a deep-seated anger, and he definitely got into his share of trouble. At only 14 years old, dude was caught stealing food out of a grocery store and spent the night in a juvenile detention center. It was enough to wake him up and get him on the right path, at least for a while. It was at that point that he was reminded of the last words he told his dad. It was finally time to make all those prophecies come true. His natural strength, low center of gravity, speed, and his newest tool, anger, made dude an unstoppable force on the football field. But as unstoppable as he was on the gridiron, Derrius' mom felt that there were some forces off the field that may actually be able to slow her son down. He came up in a rough neighborhood and his mom felt the school he was attending wouldn't afford him the opportunities to succeed at the highest level possible. So when Derrius was offered a scholarship to attend a private school, Catholic High, his mom signed him up with no hesitation. It didn't start off great, and it's not hard to imagine why. We all know kids can be extremely cruel. It was a majority white school, and most of the kids came from well-to-do backgrounds. They all had money. We know how kids operate. That's 2 strikes against Derrius. 1, he doesn't fit in because he's a different race than the majority of the people here, and 2, he's also poor, all right? So he's getting teased for both. People are telling him he's only there for football, he's dumb, he doesn't really belong there. All this stuff is obviously painful. Now, I want you to think back to the time you was in high school and think about how important it was to fit in socially. Remember how every high school situation that literally means nothing to you now meant like the end of the world back then? I really want you to take that into consideration so you can kind of put yourself, you know, where Derrius was at the time. He'd go home every day crying. It was a bad situation. With that said, his mom still felt, yo, this is the best place for you to be. You're gonna have to figure it out. Now, the good thing is, it's a private school, so there are at least measures in place. Like the guidance counselor actually did counseling. Now, the guidance counselor could relate to Derrius because she too came up broke and she had figured her way up out of that situation, and now she was obviously doing pretty good. Her and Derrius connected on that. They got real close, and it got to the point where dude was eating dinner at her house and spending time with her family. We talking about going on vacation. She was basically like his adopted aunt at this point. She actually told a funny story about this man taking pictures of the refrigerator, like inside the refrigerator, because he'd never seen a fridge actually stocked. So everything was going well. This had helped Derrius to better adjust, but then some of the admins at the school felt their relationship was inappropriate. Basically, they told her that her dealings with Derrius could only happen during school hours on the school premises. Like, they probably was doing a little much with the vacations, I'm gonna be real. But instead of approaching her and saying like, yo, maybe you can dial that back a little bit, they just approached with the ultimatum just straight out the gate. Like, here it is. Either only spend time with dude at school or resign. She actually quit. Like, she really quit, bro. This honestly made me question the nature of their relationship. In all the articles I could find, it comes across as an auntie / godmother type of relationship. Her husband is also mentioned in every single one of them, so he was definitely around. Look, I'm not trying to accuse nobody of nothing. I hope that ain't what it seems like. But it does feel a little bit extreme to me that she actually quit her job. But who knows, maybe she just hated that damn job anyway, and this was the final push to get her up out the door. I'll let y'all ponder that and come up with your own theory. Derrius went into his senior year with a lot on his chest. He wanted to prove his dad right. His guidance counselor, who had treated him like her own kid, had just resigned in order to continue to support him. You talking about playing angry? Dude was more pissed off now than ever. As a senior, Derrius ran for 1,341 yards and scored 21 TDs. He went on to beast out in the Army All-American game and was ranked as a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He decided to stay home in Baton Rouge and attend LSU, and this is where things started to take a turn. So just recently, the news broke that Derrius Guice has been accused of raping 2 women who used to attend LSU. They said in 2016, Derrius' freshman year, that he sexually assaulted 2 different female students in their own apartments, and I thought this was one situation, but this seems like 2 separate situations. So according to the reports, Derrius met the first victim at a bar. He bought her a drink, they hung out, had a good time, then he took her back to her apartment. He didn't go in at the time, he actually left and then sent her a text later on in that same day or night, I guess. He sent the text, asked if he could come over. She says yes, he pulls up. Now the alleged victim says when Derrius got there, she was already super intoxicated, not only on the alcohol that they had consumed together, but she on her own was also doing prescription pills. So basically her whole argument was she was too intoxicated to have given consent. So that's one accusation. The other accusation is a lot more cut and dry because different people are going to view that first one different ways. But the second alleged victim says that she or one of her roommates hosted a party. After drinking, she got tired, went into her bedroom. She says that she did not invite Derrius into her bedroom, yet he showed up there, and then she says he assaulted her. Both situations were said to have been reported at the time to LSU coaches and different people in place. It never got to the police, and the victim said that it was never investigated. She was never interviewed about it. She said that Derrius wasn't interviewed about it. And if that's true, I really feel like the school did everybody a disservice there. Whether Derrius is guilty or innocent, the fact that they didn't conduct an investigation, all we got to go off now is her story alone. Update, super late, but looks like the school is gonna finally investigate after all. Now the allegations were kept in-house, and in 2016, Derrius was coming off a solid freshman season with 436 yards and 3 touchdowns on only 51 carries. So we're talking an average of 8.5 yards every time they handed dude the ball. But thanks in part to an injury to Leonard Fournette, Derrius exploded in year 2 with 1,387 yards and 15 touchdowns. Some LSU fans actually preferred Guice over Fournette, and when he broke LSU's single game rushing record, which had been set by Fournette earlier in the same season, those fans got a hell of a lot louder. Derrius became only the 4th running back in SEC history to record multiple 250-yard games in a career. The other 3 backs, Mo Williams, Herschel Walker, and Bo Jackson. Good company. His junior season was mostly more of the same. Teams did key in on him, so his average was down a little bit, but the overall production was still there. After an amazing 2 years, Derrius did the smart thing and took his talents to the NFL. At the combine, he measured in at 5'10", 224 pounds, and ran a 4.49. Dude was projected as a first-round pick, and everything looked good as he obviously had the college production and he put up damn good combine numbers, so dude was all set. But he ended up having a pretty weird combine experience. As he said, one team asked him if he liked men, and another team asked him if his mom sells herself and how he felt about it. The NFL did conduct its own investigation, and they couldn't find any proof that these questions were asked. And I know everybody, including myself, is saying, of course they couldn't find any proof. But a couple of years earlier in 2016, Eli Apple was asked about his sexual orientation, and the league did investigate, and they did find out that he was asked that question by an Atlanta assistant coach, and that coach was punished. I don't know what the punishment was. They didn't release that information, but supposedly he was punished. So as character concerns continued to pop up about Derrius, he slid to the second round and was drafted by Washington. Then in the first preseason of his career, he tears his ACL. Okay, bad break, unlucky. I'm gonna shake back, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna be good, you know? Does that. The next season, he good to go. Grinded the whole last year, the whole off season, he ready. Makes it through the preseason, week 1, tears his meniscus. Out again. Yeah. Okay, no, I can do this. No, I can do this. You know, I can do this, bro. I'm okay. Fights back. Week 11, back on the field, fully rehab, finally. Ready to get his NFL career started. Ends up having a decent game, even scores his first touchdown. There we go. That's something to build on. We good now. Then only a couple of weeks later, dude gave everybody a glimpse into what he could be. 129 yards, 2 touchdowns in a win. Then the next week, sprained his MCL. Season over. So his first 2 seasons in the league, Derrius played in a total of about 6 games. How'd he deal with the extra downtime? Not great. Washington reportedly began to have problems with Derrius taking his rehab seriously. He show up late to rehab or miss altogether, or show up on time but not attack it with the necessary vigor. The process of constantly rehabbing over and over finally seemed to have broken his spirit. As a former athlete, I can definitely attest, back-to-back injuries, oh, that'll break damn near anybody down, especially when you're 22, 23 years old like Derrius Guice. It didn't matter how strong and fast he was if his ligaments couldn't stand up to the pounding required for him to play the game the way that he did. Now, once he started losing faith, the team started losing even more faith that this high draft pick would ever actually pay dividends that they were looking for when they got into this deal. Derrius seemed to be losing faith that he was still the football man his pops told him he would be all those years ago. What you can't do is lose your way, and it seems like that's exactly what's happening with Derrius. In February of this year, Derrius was accused of domestic abuse of his girlfriend. She called the police. The very next month, she's on the phone with them again. Same situation, okay? The next month, same thing. 3 months in a row, he's accused of domestic abuse by his girlfriend. Now, I'm a pro player type of cat. Y'all know that. I've been making videos for 6 years. You already know. But there's only so many accusations you can get before I'm like, bro, you're guilty, dog. Like, and again, that's my opinion. I don't know this. He got to go to court later this month. I'm not sitting here trying to be judge and jury. My opinion is that he's either guilty or he's crazy, because if I'm with somebody and they're accusing me of something that isn't true 3 months in a row, I'm still there. Like, why? Like, get away from that situation. You know what I'm saying? Domestic abuse is always bad, but some of these situations was like next level, bro. Check this out. During the March incident, he allegedly strangled his girlfriend until she passed out. And honestly, she could have lost her life, and he thought that he had actually taken that from her, because when she came to, he's patting her, trying to wake her up and crying. Like, don't cry now, bro. What are you doing? Following the third assault, Derrius was arrested and promptly released from the Washington football team. At the age of 23, his career could very easily be over. But as if that wasn't enough, he's unfortunately continued to make bad decision. After being released from jail, just a few days later, he was arrested again for speeding. And we ain't talking about doing 66 in the 60. This man was going 95 miles per hour in a 55 zone. Clearly, Derrius is kind of going off the deep end here, and I really hope dude can get some help because he's crying out for it and he damn sure need it, bro. Something ain't right. With that said, he might not get that help if he's sentenced to prison, because unfortunately our prisons can't hold two thoughts at one time and detain a person and also rehabilitate them. They just throw them in there. Football is often used as an allegory for life, but not everything applies. When you play the game of football angry, you might just get rewarded with a multi-million-dollar contract. But if you approach the game of life with that same energy, you're gonna quickly find yourself in an extremely dark place. Yo, I'm not here to judge nor make excuses for Derrius Guice. He's been through a lot. He made some mistakes. He's extremely young, but he's got an answer for the decisions that he's made. He's still a grown-ass man at the end of the day. At this point, he's damaged his life, his reputation, and his career. But it ain't too late to turn it around. It's not gonna be easy, but nothing actually worth doing ever is. This was what happened to Derrius Guice. My name is FlemLo Raps. I'm out at you next time, fellas.
Yeah, you'll never know